Hey y'all. If you're watching this video, please be sure to like and subscribe as I continue to try to grow my channel. I'm coming to y'all with a review of The Queen's Court, Season 1, Episode 1, All Hail the Queens. Obviously not home. I'm visiting my mom. Um, she's going through the chemotherapy process for breast cancer, so we're praying she gets through it. But I have some time because usually about 48 hours after she goes through the process, and I'm on spring break this week. She gets really sleepy. So I just happened to get a chance to watch All Hail the Queens while I was here. So I never watched the YouTube show Queen's Court. I am aware of it though. I was only made aware of it though through clips and stuff like that. But I will say, if I was the creator, I would feel a way about people using the title of my show and what I've worked to build in terms of a brand name that may have attracted people to this show. This show I'm talking about is streaming on Peacock. Okay, for Hollywood to come along and use it. Now let's say paid them. Okay, they could have. They could have. This is just me, just asking. All right. Anyway, so the show is centered around Tamar Braxton, Nivea, who I didn't know much about. I remember like certain kinds of songs. They sounded familiar when they showed her, but I don't really know much about her. Um, and Evelyn Lozada from Basketball Wives. Anyway, the show though was it kept my attention. So I can't speak much on Nivea, except I know she is one of Lil Wayne's baby mamas, and that she had a baby and it was in a relationship with the Dream. But Evelyn Lozada and Tamar have shown us their individual dysfunction too many times. For me to have gone in with any expectations that they would be any better on this show, other than that they were after something else, kind of. Of course, we have to make sure that we distinguish Tamar Braxton because Tamar Braxton does have talent and can sing her ass off. Now, Evelyn Lozada, you have the kind of talents that I don't know that I would want to brag about. Anyway, I'm sorry that Tamar experienced abuse before Vince, because I remember she came out on Wendy Williams' show and was saying, no, me and Vince had arguments, but he didn't, hit me or whatever. And I once again, I don't know if that's true. I don't play that shit about domestic violence. I do find it odd that she could have been with somebody 13, 14 years and it just happened to be that incident where it blew up, because that tends to be a very habitual thing. But I remember her touching on that on the Braxton show at one point. And Evelyn Lozada experienced it. And Evelyn talking about it, her getting upset. I believe that happened to her. And I'm sure it happened to plenty of women Chad has been with who, I mean, they did come out and say that he had had incidents like that before. She was somebody in the public eye. Anyway, however, I just feel like Evelyn talking about going through relationships in the public eye. I don't even talk about Chad necessarily. I mean, he's one of many, but I was like, that's your fault. Like, you have chosen that path. You're a non singer. Nivea and Tamar are actual singers. Okay, people who had careers. Okay, um, and you're a mere reality TV personality that became one because of who you were dating slash engaged to for several years. Okay. Anyway, um, and that you've committed, Evelyn, some of the most violent acts I have ever seen on reality TV or scripted television. Just saying. Okay. So I'm not here for the whole woe is me. Why does this always happen to me in terms of bad relationships? Well, Evelyn, you need to look at yourself. I'm not even talking about in terms of who you necessarily even attract. Just you as a person. How you fought your best friend. And I know you didn't like what she was saying, but did some fucked up shit to Jen. We don't have to like it, but I'm just sorry. At some point, your grown woman needs to be set up a little differently. That's me. Okay. Anyway, so in this process, there are going to be 21 men, and these three women are supposed to find a king, basically. That's why it's called Queen's Court. I guess the ultimate goal is to see who gets married or whatever. Anyway, once again, gone are the days. Okay, we had to wait for the show to be over to find out how it ends and who ends up with who. Seeing the Shade Room recently reported that both Evelyn and Tamar are engaged. Remember when they had to keep it a secret? That was part of their contract. Now all the juice is gone. Anyway, Holly Robinson Pete and her husband, a former NFL player, been married a long time, and his name is, I think it's Rodney Pete. Um, his name escapes me, but I always know him as her husband or whatever, because we know her from hanging with Mr. Cooper and stuff like that. Anyway, so I think they are a good and a great example as two classy black people who have stayed together. I'm just gonna leave it there. An emphasis on classy. Okay, the way they carry themselves, the way they've held themselves together as a family, so on and so forth. But how two people in love can get married and stay together in a healthy relationship, because we know how football players are. So nobody's relationship is perfect, and they have never claimed that. Um, and I still remember being a kid. It's funny because the memory just came back to me when I was watching it. Being a kid, and my mother would get the Ebony magazines in the mail, and I remember them on the cover with their two twins. It was a boy and a girl when they were babies, and they've been married for 27 years. In Hollywood, shit, that might as well be dog years. Like, you can stay together. That's hell. That's three lifetimes. Anyway, but they're hosting the show kind of in the same fashion that Love Is Blind does, except for like they've been married for almost 3 decades, like people with real life marriage experience. Okay, so Evelyn talks about her history of bad relationships. She's been engaged 3 times, and she says she guesses she was married once for like 43 days. I was like, okay, bitch, you did marry Ocho Cinco. Okay, you actually went through with it. Um, and all of them say they are really trying to find true love. Okay. Tamar said she has spent a lot of time and a lot of money on good therapy, and she feels ready. And I will say, throughout this episode, I mean, Tamar still makes me laugh, but she did seem, as only the first episode, a little bit more chill. Like, just, not even chill. By the things she said, I could tell she's taken some time to work through some things. Um, anyway, they are shooting the show in Atlanta. They said they found 20 single men in Atlanta. As a woman from Atlanta, I love my hometown. I love it. But I can already tell you that at least 10 of them are going to be gay or bisexual. And people who are bisexual, that's fine for them. But if these women are straight, I'm just saying, I feel like that's a little misleading. Okay? And most of them who are gay and bisexual are going to be dishonest about it. Something about that Southern conservative culture, even amongst black people. Um, I don't know why the facade continues. Anyway, so Evelyn, do you live in Atlanta? No, you don't. Still following Jen, huh? Hope she'll be your friend again. Anyway, first of all, the nature of such a show. Never mind, I'm gonna get in that. So on the first night, before I even start going in, so on the first night, they are meeting the first 8 men. So they're having it in rounds. So I was thinking they were gonna have like, one of those big parties and that kind of thing. So that kind of helps with us at least, or me at least, trying to remember their names. I don't remember nobody's name, but anyway. Okay, so Holly starts talking about Holly Robinson Pete starts talking about how she met these men and the heat is coming off of them, and her husband can't take it. And I'm just sitting up there like, men are a trip. 3 women just walked into the room, and he tells them how beautiful they are. And Holly don't say nothing. Holly don't trip, but Holly knows she bad. Meanwhile, this man can't even hear her say this about 21 men who Holly Robinson Pete don't even know the name of. But anyway, now to be sure, okay, all of this talk about being serious about love and playtime is over, like Tamar was saying. Going on a reality show to find love is is strictly, as far as I'm concerned, for our entertainment. Okay? So don't expect me to be too gracious to these people, and why would I? All right, this is streaming on Peacock as it is, and I just had Peacock because I wanted to rewatch The Rebellious Life of Rosa Parks, which is actually a great documentary. But I never get as many views for like documentaries and serious stuff, so just a plug in there. Anyway, but anyway, I always talk about that. Going on a reality show attracts people who want to be on TV, okay, to promote a book, a business, or just to be famous for the sake of being famous. So if you believe you can do this first event like they're doing as a mass ball to keep people from judging a book by its cover, That's a joke. First of all, they all know who Tamar Braxton, Nivea, and Evelyn Lozada are, and if they didn't, they damn sure looked them up before they got on the show. Okay. And for a lot of people, things like this are just a competition. It's something to win, especially for men. Anyway, um, and the men that are picked because they're good for TV. Period. They're not picking men who are good for them or compatible. Then we can just do like Indian Matchmaker or yeah, because like that show that was on Netflix, that was kind of good. That was kind of funny though. But I'm saying like you just get like a person who does matchmaking. Anyway, so it's the first night there, and they're eating the first date men. Nivea is socializing. I like her a lot, especially with this first episode. I think she's funny. I think she's very genuine. Like she's not performing. I think she's just kind of a goofball who like is comfortable with her sexuality, and I think that's be a thing, girl. So Nivea's talking about her kids, and I guess she's trying to figure out whether other men have kids. Evelyn is telling the men about her kids, and the age gaps is like really big between 29 and 8. Nivea is telling people about how she has never been handcuffed. And I'm like, is that what you tell strangers on the first date? I know, because I'm trying to understand as a woman how you should be comfortable with yourself, but I'm also like, ooh, I don't know if I don't like that. Anyway, can we please talk about how good Holly Robinson Pete looks? I mean, she has barely aged. Like I said, we've been watching her since Hanging with Mr. Cooper, um, For Your Love, For Pete's Sake, her family's reality show, and she looks good. But when I saw her mother, I was like, damn, y'all got some good ass genes. Tina Knowles, Beyonce, and Solange, Holly Robinson Pete, her mother, and her kids. Y'all good to go. Anyway, whew, I mean, good black don't crack. And her black is good. Her and her husband. Anyway, so when they did the mask reveal at the mask ball, they've been talking and chatting it up. Did it really matter? Did we really think these guys couldn't pick out who was who of the three women in the lineup? But okay. Like they ain't been watching the same reality shows we been. People will kill me with this shit. So before the night is out, they need to ask two men out on a date so they can get to know better of the eight, right? So Holly Pete's husband, why do I keep calling her that? I just have to. Holly Pete's husband was like, if you get a date, stay humble because you can still be on the job block. That's the way the show is set up. I mean, it's set up for entertainment. So the expectation people will find love. And this show probably only like tape for probably like 6 weeks. I'm just guessing. You know how this stuff goes. Um, Tamar says she has never asked a man on a date. She's kind of old fashioned. I haven't either. I don't know whether that's a good or a bad thing. Um, but me personally, I like a man who shows interest and realizes that a woman, is a prize that has to be earned. You know what I mean? That's just me, my personal taste. But Tamar starts talking to Jr. That's the white guy, and I'm just saying that because that's the easiest way to pick him out. Okay. Um, Jr. says this could be the Tamar and Jr. show, and for some reason, my brain said, "That's what you say to somebody on the first night, meeting them, chatting it up." I mean, I know you look these people up, but like, can you perform, please? Like a little bit to try to act genuine. He's from New Orleans. He has 5 kids from 19 down to the age of 2. 2 was what made me go, "Are you finished with that relationship?" But okay. Tamar seems to be okay with the 5 kids, although she didn't follow up with how many baby mamas. We find that out from Evelyn. Apparently he has 4, but it seems like it changes later in the show. He says he has 3, but whatever. So he says, I'm a divorced father of 5, and I think that's a bit misleading. But like I said, luckily Evelyn asked ahead of time, so that we had knowledge. It didn't turn Tamar off though, and I just thought maybe because she comes from a big family, not with that many baby mamas, but a lot of people. Jr. starts, essentially blaming his life on a crack addicted mother, and I'm sorry for anything that happens like that. I feel for any child like that. Um, but I do think that a man who has multiple kids by multiple women, I don't think that you having a crack addicted mother is an excuse for all the failed relationships. And as a lawyer, you can afford the kind of psychological help that would help you have better and healthier relationships. And some could argue maybe that's why he's doing this. But I just don't like when people like pull that kind of shit. Um, and it's so early on. It didn't. I don't know. Something about him saying the Tamar and Jr. show. It was just. Anyway, so Nivea gets her 2 dates pretty quickly. Michael agrees to go on a date with her and says he is literally still friends with all of his exes. The producer says that there is a study there was a study just done that says if you are friends with your exes, you're a sociopath. So he goes, this just in. I'm a sociopath. Back to you. I have never heard that before. Who sponsored and approved this study, producer? Just because you said it, I'm not going for that. Is it weird to be friends with all of your exes? Yes. Do I really believe that you could care seriously about all of your exes and be friends? Nah. But sociopath, I mean, like, let's be careful not to throw that term around. Like, where did you find that? BuzzFeed? Girl, bye. Anyway, so then this guy named Gatsby sits down with Evelyn, and like, his intention, you could tell, is to be noticed, and he accomplished that on this first episode. So this guy named Gatsby sits down with Evelyn. The first thing this joker says is that I'm not a Hollywood guy. This is the sociopath as far as I'm concerned. Let me tell you why. Because then he follows it up. I knew when he said that he was full of shit because he's already on a reality TV show, okay, with established reality TV stars. But you signed up for a reality TV show with women that may not be Hollywood, but certainly act like it and are tangentially connected to it. Then they switched to his confessional. And he is 35, named Gatsby of all things, okay? Everybody had to read The Great Gatsby in school, and if you haven't, maybe you just weren't paying attention. And he's a filmmaker from Los Angeles. You're a filmmaker and you're trying to tell us you're not Hollywood. Like, this is what I'm talking about. I just can't stand with people. That's sociopathic to think we wouldn't find that out that quick. Boy, bye. Anyway, so then he starts talking about how he is young, a young black aristocrat. First of all, I hate anybody who describes themselves as an aristocrat. Okay, I hate people that help promote aristocracy. Okay, and we have it in this country, whether we try to pretend like, we can call it the 1%, we can call it whatever we want to call it. We have an aristocracy in this country. And to me, in a society with so much money and then so much poverty, I don't think that's anything to brag about, but whatever. So he is talking about how he is a young black aristocrat, and if Ralph Lauren was black, he would be me. I, baby, I give it the bullshit. You're not Hollywood, but you're giving real LA wannabe, fake it till you make it mentality. Okay, I know, I live there. All right, so he goes on and on about all the things he does, from cooking to hiking outdoors. Evelyn was like, I'm not buying anything you're selling. I'm so glad she saw through that shit and called it out. And I'm not even here for Evelyn like that, but that was necessary in that case. Tamar, on the other hand, will entertain this further. Anyway, so Tamar Braxton is still sitting with JR and this guy named Tony, who's 54. And in his confessional says that he is faithful and a good guy, or something to that effect. And I knew then, I said, he full of shit. Any man who describes himself like that, he's always full of shit, at least in my experience. So he says Atlanta is the biggest city with a cigar community. Are they? I mean, like, okay. It's a fact I didn't know. Um, he he says he's a cigar influencer. Sir, how does that pay bills? I mean, okay. So Tamar was like, "Well, what does that mean?" I was like, "Oh, thank God." And I'm not saying that people don't make money being quote unquote influencers, but that is not a real job to me. I don't give a fuck how much you get paid. I'm sorry. I think that shit is just like, I hate that that's a job in this country. So he says, me and my friends smoke cigars, and other people, started doing it. What the fuck? People been smoking cigars, motherfucker. Get the fuck up out of here. Then Tamar asked three guys around her, well, why are y'all single? They're like in their 40s for the most part, early 50s maybe. And Tony perks up and interrupts her and says he's never been in love. I was like, at 54? At 54, you have some serious interpersonal issues. And I'm saying that because you don't strike me as a real introvert. Clearly, you're on a reality TV show, but a real introvert, or somebody who's just been shy or was like working hard as like a professor who was like being very monastic and writing books or something like that. And So that part of his life kind of went by. You know what I mean? Like, miss me with the bullshit. That sounded like bullshit when it came out of his mouth. Then he says that he didn't show up to both of his weddings. He said we weren't meant to be married, we were meant to be friends. And he did not say that in an apologetic tone at all. And I didn't like it. And Tamar looked at him and asked, "So you stood them up at the altar?" So I was thinking it was two women. Apparently, he did the same person twice. I don't know. Whatever the case is, the shit is fucked up. So, and he said, "Yeah, I told him I couldn't get off work." So Tamar does a wow. Interesting. I'm going to be honest. In that moment, I said, I'm proud of Tamar. Because of the way we have seen her on TV, she would have given him the motherfucking business, okay? And would have been all over here and doing this, huh? What you said? But I was glad. I was glad that she just kind of read him lightly. Okay, anyway. So, yeah. So, Tony, fuck you. On behalf of those women or that woman, just fuck you. You left two women on the at the altar on the wedding day and all this other shit. We later get the story that it was the justice of the peace. I don't give a fuck what it was. You're fucked. I can't get off work, motherfucker. You don't know what time you work and what time you don't. The fuck up out of here. You just go. Just go. You and then to say that on TV, humiliate them or the woman, whatever. And now you're bragging about it on reality TV, like whatever. Like fuck you. Anyway, so Nivea started telling this other man, I forget his name, about her experience growing up, and he was like, "Oh, you grew up in a two-parent household?" She was like, "Yeah." But she was like with two crack addicted parents, and he was like, "But I mean, that's still good." I was like, "Gosh, that's the standard." And her and the guy have a good talk. She was like, "Well, it was good till it was. I went to live with my grandmother." She was like, "I know my great grandmother." She was basically saying, and it is rare that you'll have that many generations being able to live at once. Um, so Nivea had no problem walking up to this other guy and taking back her date. She could go out and date with this guy that she was talking to about growing up and her challenges. And I was like, damn, Nivea. And she was like, no hard feelings. And I was thinking to myself, no hard feelings on your part, girl. Anyway, but she's funny to me. I don't know why though. Then Gatsby comes over. I still have to call him Gatsby. Anyway, so then Gatsby comes over talking to Tamar and said, "This is God ordained." And she laughed and was like, "You gonna put this on God?" But then anyway, she asked him out on a date. He's just one of the people that will say whatever he thinks will hit, and then watch enough reality TV that he thought he could get in, but apparently it worked. So she said it could be. Evelyn said she pushed Gatsby on to Tamar. I don't know that she pushed him on to her Tamar. I just think she was like, "I'm not buying anything you're selling," so he was disinterested and went on to the next person. Um, she was like, "It could be a match made in heaven, or Tamar's gonna end up going to jail." I said, "Bitch, if I was Tamar and found that you had tried to push him over to me, I would have whooped your ass because he is one whack motherfucker." So Evelyn said she didn't want to come in competing. I guess with 21 men, it would be surprising to have to. That's like seven apiece. Anyway, they asked Nivea what this Wayne, Evelyn and Tamar, they're talking like as, just as friends or co-workers, whatever the hell they are on the show. They asked her what does Wayne think about her dating, and I was like, who cares? Just because she had a baby by him. Apparently, they were engaged twice, and I'm still like, who cares? Okay, the hell with what he thinks. I've never understood the toll though. Just a side note that Lil Wayne seems to take on women, but I do not understand how this dread-headed Spider-Man has had so many women in a tizzy over the years. I like don't get it. I just don't fucking get it. Anyway, so Evelyn said that even though she was married for a short time, she took her vow seriously. Apparently, he didn't. That's what she said. She said when they got into it, she said she believed that if she went back into that house, he was going to kill her. The way she starts to cry, I do believe there was abuse. I think she was reliving that trauma. And I think it's hard to view her as a victim the way we view other women as victims. Or, some people just completely deny that women get beat. And I just, that blows my fucking mind. Um, I think because we have seen her so violent, or I have seen her so violent on TV. And I know other people saw it, but I think sometimes it's hard for me to accept her as a victim. But I do, I mean, not in the sense that I don't believe her. It's just hard to look at her like, but the way you bullied so many people. Um, but the way she started to cry, I was just like, oh gosh. Um, Yeah. And I don't believe in shaming women for telling their stories. That's horrible for any woman. Do I like Evelyn? No. Do I think she's a good person? No. Do I think she has been unnecessarily violent on TV? Yes. But did she deserve to have any man put his hands on her? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And a man, and particularly a football player, has physical stamina that women just do not have. Okay? She said she still wanted, though, she was talking, once again to the girls, that even after the divorce, she still wanted like a marriage. She still wanted that kind of relationship. So Tamar is talking about Vince and David, the other guy she dated, and how she hasn't really dated anybody outside of the industry except for David, and he wasn't in the public eye. And so anytime he got scrutiny, he blamed her. Um, and I was like, yeah, you gotta leave that shit, sis, because like he's blaming you. He could leave that relationship. He chose to stay in it. Next, so they go on their dates with their two men, and I mean by the three, Evelyn, Nivea, and Tamar. So Evelyn says she has never gone on a date with two men, and she's talking to the guys and was like, and I've never had a train run on me either. Evelyn, Evelyn, that was best left something that didn't come out your mouth. Because I'm going to tell you right now, ma'am, bitch, if you think I believe the way you move and have moved through men, and not just any men, rich men, that you've never had a train run on you, bitch, please. All right. Anyway, Nivea is having fun. They're trying out oysters and chocolate and cherries, and the men are feeding her. She seems really comfortable with her sexuality and like a fun person. Like she's grown to me. Like I said, I didn't know a lot about her. I remember her being on the radio and stuff like that. Nivea's goofy though. And every time she says, "Oh my lamb," for some reason it just cracks me up because it's so country. Anyway, so Tamar is on a date with Jr. and Gatsby. Okay, girl. So JR is talking all this stuff, sound like he's imitating the African American dialect. However, his roots being in New Orleans and me knowing the way people from New Orleans talk, I'm willing to let that one slide. All right, I might let it go, but I got to keep an eye on it. All right, so she invited him to find out about all of his kids. She said she wanted to get to the bottom of that. But she seems to be feeling him. Gatsby is just happy to be on TV, so that we know he's a filmmaker. So I think he is totally satisfied, even with being, feeling like the third wheel. So we find out that Gatsby's government name is Kobe Randolph. I never thought your first name was Gatsby, sir. But okay. He tells Tamar that his parents have been married for 38 years. And so she says, "Is that what it is? You're trying to keep the example of how they were married?" And he was just like, "Yeah, it's just been hard to find somebody that he's equally yoked with, especially seeing that." I was looking at him like, especially seeing that you don't know who the fuck you are. You want to be Gatsby, you want to be Kobe Randolph, you want to like carry on, and I just can't. I just find you corny and I find you an opportunist, but then again, everybody else is. I just want you to do a better job of hiding it. Maybe that's what I'm trying to say. Anyway, so JR tells her that they share something in common, tells Tamar. He said, "We both have lost loved ones to cancer." He told the story that there was only him, his mother, and a casket there at her funeral. Um, and he's telling this story, and he said, and he remembered it like it was yesterday. He said this hummingbird flew on her casket, and he said it's still very clear. And Tamar started crying, and she said, and he was like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm upsetting you." And she just said her sister always said when she died, she would come back as a hummingbird. She was like, "So all of us as siblings have a hummingbird." And she said she felt like that was a sign. And a piece of me wonders, because I take this very seriously. When I saw her cry, I come from a big family. It's five of us. I come from a religious family like she does, and so I guess it's just my mother's dealing with cancer. Um, and I sympathize and empathize with anybody who has lost somebody, because that is got to be the suckiest feeling. Like the guy Rashawn, who talks about having lost his daughter, and you're losing your kid before you. All of that's hard. So I get it. Um, I think a piece of me did wonder, and only because this is on TV, and just because of my feelings internally. Um, wonders if he studied up on them and knew that. Um, and I think when he said he had told Evelyn he had four baby mamas and then lowered the number to three baby mamas, when he was talking to Tamar, I think that was also in that same conversation. And I was like, I wonder if this is true. And I hate to suggest this. So I'm just going to get up off of it. It just, I don't know. So anyway, Holly Robinson Pete comes to check on the ladies. I like this. Holly, you are, girl, you are killing the looks. That's what all I'm going to say. Still. Okay. And I like her coming in and talking to them because she has advice to give. And after 27 years of marriage, this is the first time we're seeing her on TV, like giving advice. Thank you for having something to show for it. She's beautiful. She's a good mother. She's talented. And once again, qualified to give advice more than somebody who's been married for like 5, 6 years, kind of like the people on Love is Blind. Anyway, they tell her the details of the dates and why they didn't choose the people they chose and stuff like that. She tells them they are planning for their first dinner elimination, okay? And this is where it got kind of tricky. And they all have to decide which four have to go, okay? That they're going to invite this elimination dinner. Even if they went out on a date or not, anybody can go. That's what they were saying. So Holly Robinson, Pete, and Rodney welcome them and they say, hey, this is the Queen's Castle because they have decided they don't think the ladies don't think they're a good match. This is their last chance. I was like, oh shit! I thought they were about to eliminate. I was gonna say this is cold blooded. Damn. Gatsby's so full of shit. He's just giving me real Gemini vibes, and I don't find it attractive at all. In the words of Tamar, even though she was much more kind about it than I was, all the attention seeking, all this going from one personality to another, that shit don't ever end well. I know. Okay. Okay. So Evelyn tries to get insight into Tony leaving his baby moms at the altar twice. Then the young African guy, I forget his name, but he starts going off on the other guy, Ray Sean, right? And the other guy, Ray Sean, has messed up hair, but he's like a good person. Like he has like a lot of stories to tell. Um, and they seem and very real, very genuine. So I'm actually glad that he actually had the elimination dinner so we can get to know him better. We like the audience. Um, but the young African guy just starts going off on him. He got real hype. Like, who you talking about? Who you talking about? You did that. And I was like, ooh. And Evelyn was like, okay, why don't you just go take a breather? He was like, yeah, I've been drinking this champagne. Nah, nah, bruh. Champagne Budweiser don't do that. That's in you. Especially when men are willing to act that way in front of women without apology. I don't, period. And when he walked away, they show Evelyn's confessional. She was like, red flag. And I was like, that's a red flag for me too. Men who cannot control their temper, and it's barely been 2 days, and he is flipping out like that on another man, trust. You're next, darling. And that's just another man. Okay? So Tony got kicked off at the elimination dinner. Tamar was like, she needs somebody to come to the table fixed and whole, and he has a lot of work to do, and that's not my job. And I said, yes, yes, Tamar to the growth, okay? I can tell you've been in therapy. I am too, okay? And that is something you have to learn before you can move on. You have to realize that is not your job. So Nivea said to Nathan that it appears that he has some hidden anger issues, and that is not what the three women want out of life. And so essentially, Nivea leads the way with eliminating him. Evelyn was like, she has passed the point of making excuses for people or ignoring red flags, or in the words of Maya Angelou, when people show you who they are, believe them. Um, and I'm here for that. And I'm here for women setting those boundaries with themselves and with the people they let in their lives. So I think this was a good first episode. I don't know if y'all been watching, and once again, I just kind of had Peacock by chance. But if y'all decide this is something that y'all are interested into, I'll kind of just get an idea about the views. Y'all let me know. All right, but we'll talk soon because growing up hip hop is off. Yeah, I'll talk to y'all soon. Bye.